Cool. So we are live right now. Heather. So hey guys, I guess let me just start. I always forget this, but anyway, this is Drew Burks. I'm here with a good friend of mine, Heather Kelly, and Heather is doing some amazing things right now. So Heather, I just want to jump on here with you and learn a little bit about what you're doing, and hopefully have you share your wisdom with people who may be considering, as I say, escaping their job life. So with that, Heather, what's up? How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm here outside of Zion National Park in Springdale, ripping off a whole lot of internet from my new favorite coffee house, Deep Creek Coffee. I think I've been here since 8 o'clock this morning, getting work done, but haven't done a whole lot of work in the last 10 days that we've been backpacking around. So it feels good to be getting caught up.
Well, cool. So tell me about that. I mean, you said in Zion National Park. What are you doing there? How long have you been there? How long are you going to be there?
Yeah, I was back in Colorado working, and I had an invite from some friends of mine from Alaska, the Hague Photo Crew, and they actually shoot photos for big name companies like OR and Montbell and Platypus Hydration, and they were looking for models, looking for people to come on a trip and rally around in the desert wearing a bunch of gear. So we did a traverse of Zion National Park, and we're shooting photos for Montbell, and then we took a couple days off and got back on the trail and did this incredible trip called the Burks, which was 3 days of just kind of cruising through the Narrows and shooting photos for OR. So I've been here about 10 days, and I'm about to get back on the road and probably going to spend tomorrow in Moab and then head back to Boulder, and then I'm going all the way north to Alaska for the summer just to go rafting and really enjoy myself back home.
Wow. Well, I mean, that sounds impressive. I have to ask. I know I'm not supposed to ask women this question, but for everyone watching, I mean, you look very young. So how old are you, if you don't mind?
I'm the ripe old age of 26.
Wow. So now I know you, so I know that you are very independent. But for everyone watching me at 26, how are you spending this much time traveling and doing adventure stuff, without working a 9-to-5 job? Like, how are you doing that?
Well, I started my own business when I was 23. I think I've been running Open Nutrition now for 3 years. And initially I had started, and I was a raft guide up in Alaska for 5 years. Then I moved down to Colorado to be a raft guide. And about 2 weeks into the job, I got my first paycheck, and I was making $6 an hour. And I wasn't making very good tips. I wasn't really busy, and it was a high water year. And I just said, okay, I can't do this. Like, I can't work for $6 an hour. So I ended up starting my own business doing sports nutrition consulting and eating psychology, and it's just taken off since then. I started doing in-person stuff at a local CrossFit gym. From there, I started doing seminars. I started doing seminars at other gyms, traveling, and bam, before I knew it, I was taking all of my clients over the phone and realized, wow, I don't have to be anywhere except on the other end of my headphones whenever I schedule clients. So it's been quite a journey, but it still blows my mind that I had people booking sessions while I was on the trail. I came back to a whole bunch of work today, and I'm going to take the weekend off and then get back to it on Monday. So I feel pretty fortunate that the business has just evolved over the last 3 years to where now it's totally remote.
And when you said the company, I think you said it was OR. So did they? It sounds like they sought you out, and they presented you with the opportunity to go do this? Are they funding this trip for you? Are they paying you to do this? Are they giving you cool camping gear and stuff like that?
These folks from Hague Photo Crew, they do trips all the time, and they're constantly looking for people that have the time to go on an extended backcountry trip. So they knew that I ran my own business, and they were actually asking me, like, hey, wait a second, how do you take a vacation a month? Like, we want to know how you're pulling this off. And so it was really fun to kind of go back and forth with them about business and how to make it run while you're out on the trail. And yeah, they hooked me up with quite a bit of gear and good food and rooms to stay in between trips. So I feel really fortunate. The trip didn't really cost me anything except for the gas money to get out here.
And then let me ask, so I mean, when you do trips like this, do you find that your business, your primary business, does it slow down? Does it speed up? Does it maintain the consistency? Like,
I honestly, I feel like my clients really appreciate the fact that I get out and do stuff. Like I have amazing clients that are really great about wanting to hear trip stories, and they get inspired by me going out and taking vacations or going on backcountry trips, because I work with people a lot on eating psychology, and a lot of times the folks that I'm working with, they are very caught up in the details of what are they eating, when are they eating it, how are they going to lose the weight. And I'm a huge advocate for, you're going to have your ideal body when you have your ideal lifestyle. And so I'm always trying to coach people into, okay, what do you want to do? Do you want to go backpacking? Do you want to run a marathon? Like, what is it that you really want to do? And let's put together a nutrition plan that supports that, rather than trying to navigate your whole life around food. So, long story short, I feel like that's why I attract a lot of clients, is because people see, wow, this girl does exactly what she wants to do, and she travels incessantly and still eats really good on the road. I can do that too.
well, I got to ask you, hopefully I get this quote right, but I think that's something that's tweet worthy or hashtag worthy, is that what was the saying? You will have your ideal body when you have your ideal lifestyle?
Yeah,
Wow.
I think so.
That's incredible. I love that. Especially because I have a friend of mine who's into nutrition. He's a yogi here in San Diego, and he had this cool little handheld device, like it looked like a remote control for my Sony PlayStation, and it measures your body fat. And I'm super thin, so I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I'll take this. And it was like 19.1%, and I'm like, oh, is that good? He's like, well, 15 to 20 is average, but you're on the high end. And I'm like, I weigh like 130 pounds. How can I have such, high, whatever it is, body fat? And so I've been amazed that, I didn't realize I could be so skinny and fat at the same time. But he now is trying to make me work out and go to yoga, and so I guess I will have to. I have an ideal lifestyle, but maybe it's not quite ideal because I don't like having 20% body fat.
Yeah, I think having health is definitely important to, like you say, going to work every day or doing the things that you love. So I think putting health first is definitely something that I advocate for my clients and for the people in my life. Like, hey, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it's something that's never been that important to me, but I will say you are a major influence. I know when we started working together, I don't know, a year ago or so, and after your 21-day, sexy diet, I know that I'm much more aware of it now. And then Mike is always bothering me about eating better. Like, he tells me I can't have any more potato chips, which I love. So, but I told him that you said coffee was sexy, and I think you said chocolate was sexy too. So I'm holding on to those two things.
Yeah, I don't let go of my coffee to save my life. So.
So let me ask. I mean, so you're able to go on these things. It doesn't sound like your business slows down. So, I love the word or the phrase lifestyle entrepreneur. Would you describe yourself as a lifestyle entrepreneur?
I would say so, because there's a couple people out there that I really look up to that I'm like, wow, that person has it made, and they have an online business and they work remotely, and I want to do that. But it's been a lot of kind of forging my own path as far as understanding how to sell stuff online, or how to take clients over the phone, or how to take clients via Skype, sell video series. Like, I've learned a lot of different stuff in the last year, and I can't say there's anybody else out there that I feel like has a business that's very identical to mine. So I feel very fortunate that the only evolutionary sports nutritionist and certified psychology of eating coach I know that takes a vacation a month.
Yeah, I mean, it's inspirational. That's why I wanted to do this. I think a lot of people will be inspired by you. I think that a lot of people will be motivated by you. And, for me, lifestyle is so important. I mean, you and I are completely different places in our life, but I was, telling you earlier that I've been doing a lot of consulting for the last few years. And and my 4-year-old, so my boy's 4.5 years old, and our second baby's due any day. But it was really about a month ago when Grayson, my little boy, said to me, "Daddy, can you please stop going into these people's offices and work? I miss having you at home." And after working at home every day for the last, 6 years, it was really weird to go into someone else's office for 3 days. And I kind of just was like, that hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, man, I got to stop trading. It was only 3.5 days, right? So I know like people probably listening to this are like, oh, poor you, 3.5 days at someone's office. But it was just like I realized that, man, I was giving up 3.5 days, which is, 12 hours of time with my family. And I just, it was like I just can't do it anymore. I really like the freedom to do what I want when I want. And what I'm hoping to do is that, rather than just telling my story all the time, is to, let people hear your story. And I know Will and I are going to do one of these, and just let you guys inspire people, because it just makes me sad when people are like, oh, I go to work 40, 50, 60 hours a week, and I haven't been on vacation in 10 years, and my wife and I hate each other because we never see each other, and my kids are 16, but I've been to one school dance with them in 16 years. So I appreciate you doing this. It's important to me that we share as many of these stories. So let me ask, you've been through this. You've done it. You've kind of made your own way, you said. What are some of the pitfalls that you would caution someone if someone was going to listen to this and go, wow, I want to travel and do things that Heather's doing? What would you caution them, like, hey, these are big mistakes, don't make these?
God, I have some good ones. I actually did my own 10-week group coaching course for people that were interested in having a remote lifestyle and having their own consulting business. And, of those 15 people that I had in my small group, there was very few of them that actually took the coaching and actually took the steps and built themselves a website and hung up their shingle. And that was the best thing that my dad ever said to me was, go out there and hang up your shingle, because before you know it, you're going to be in business. And kaboom, it happened, and it's happened to me multiple times. I'm in the process of building yet another business. And so I would say for people just to get out of your own way and to really understand that you do have value and you can help somebody else. You don't have to be a marathon's distance ahead of somebody to help them. You have to be one step ahead of them. So I would say take the steps, especially if you hire a coach. Listen to what your coach tells you and do what your coach tells you, and you will get results. But the people who don't take the steps don't get results. And then the other thing that I really want to throw out there, because I went through this recently for myself, I was living in Boulder, Colorado, and had a great apartment, had great boyfriend, and had the ability to work at a CrossFit gym and train there and do all this, but I let it all go so that I could travel more. So instead of spending that money on rent every month, I'm saying, hey, I'm going to put that towards gas, plane tickets, awesome food. That's, almost $1,000 a month that I can spend on the things that I really love doing, which is traveling. So take a look at your priorities and see where your money's going, and see if you're putting your dollars towards the things that you really value and what you prioritize in your life, because that was definitely eye-opening for me to see that, wow, there was a whole big chunk of change I could be spending on more vacations.
Right. So what I hear from that is a couple of things. Is one, you have to be in action, right? Having the dream's not enough, but you have to be in action. And what I love about entrepreneurs is that we tend to take what's called affordable next steps. So we don't necessarily have to go out and hit the home run today. We just want to keep moving forward and taking affordable next steps. So I hear from you, one is you have to be in action. The other thing I heard from you, Heather, is that you really have to evaluate your priorities and get clear on what your values are, and then you have to commit to them. Like I've heard this saying a bunch is, are you interested or are you committed? Right, because that's a big difference.
It's a huge difference, and of course, my business has had times where it was slow, like, Christmas time. Believe it or not, nobody wants to hire a nutritionist around the holidays. But then come January, I'm slammed. So being able to stay committed to it and get through those times where it gets scary is what has made it successful. If I had said, my first week of business, I wasn't booked solid, it's not going to work, then I wouldn't have made it this far.
You mentioned something earlier about starting another business or different businesses. Talk to me about like fear of failure. Like how do you deal with that? Like I assume some of your ideas and businesses have failed. Like how do you deal with that?
You know, I would say that I've done different parts of my business, like having an office and seeing clients in person, and it's not that it failed, it wasn't for me. So I think having the courage to say, I don't want to do this anymore is more a problem. So rather than having a fear of failure, I have a fear sometimes of standing up for myself and saying, you know what, I don't want to be available in person. I don't want to have to commute to work every day. So I'm going to sacrifice like whatever money could be made here so that I can maintain my remote lifestyle. So when you said fear of failure, I think my biggest problem more than anything is fear of success. Because like I was telling you earlier, I have another business endeavor on the rise, and I'm scared it's going to be too big too quick. So.
Well, let me ask, that's interesting, but let me ask, so, and you bring up a great point. So as an entrepreneur, it's interesting. I don't think we as entrepreneurs really even consider failure, and that's kind of what I hear from you. But let me ask you the question from the point of view like friends and families and outside people's perception. And specifically, here's what I mean. I've, over the last 10, 11 years, since 98, so I guess that's 15 years, I've done a lot of things. And some of them have worked, and some of them have been complete failures. And some of them where I just chose it, I didn't want to do it anymore. But what I hear from a lot of friends and people close to me, they would say, Drew, you're doing something else. What about that business? Or what about that business? Like, didn't it fail? Does it bother you? So sometimes there's a perception when you move out of your apartment or you shut down a brick and mortar, there's this perception that, oh, you failed. Does that even bother you? Does it even enter your conscience?
Not really, honestly. Like, I'm sure there's people out there that could be like, why would you give up living in Colorado in order to be on the road? Like, why would you give up doing in-person seminars that brought you a lot of business? And it's like, well, it's not what I really wanted. So I feel like it takes a lot more to have the courage to say, I want something different rather than just to stay with what you've got.
That's awesome. I think that's really something that people need to focus on. It's the courage to follow your commitment, the courage to stay committed to your dreams and what's important to you without concern of what other people might think. Because I know that I hear from friends that they really let people's perceptions and people's opinions really impact what steps they take. Like I've heard people say, well, I don't want to start my own business because if it doesn't work, what would people think? And
yeah, and I've been so fortunate in that. Like, for whatever reason, I have been overwhelmed by the amount of support I've gotten from people and the amount of support I get from people that aren't even necessarily in my life, but follow me on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, and they're just so complimentary that it kind of helps fuel me and helps keep me going. Like, I may perceive that, like, oh, I'm not doing that great, or I'm not doing a lot of cool stuff, and then somebody else will be like, oh my God, that trip that you just went on looked awesome, and I love getting your trip updates, and I love seeing your food photos. And I think we can be our biggest critics sometimes. And yeah, I'm very fortunate that everyone in my life is uber supportive.
Well, that's amazing. I think the other thing that I just picked up on that when you said that is it's really important that we follow our dreams and be committed to doing what we love, because by doing that we're actually inspiring people. And so, as you said, you get a message on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, oftentimes by people maybe you don't know, and just to realize that by sharing your story and living your life, you're actually inspiring these people in ways that maybe you won't know for sometimes years. Sometimes we may never know the people we've inspired. So I think that's really a responsibility we have, quite honestly, is to live a life that is purposeful and fulfilling. Because again, I just go back to, it's just my own personal it bothers me. There's certain things that bother us. It really bothers me that so many people just seem miserable. and Gary Vaynerchuk said it in 2012. He says, 2012, there's no reason to do shit you hate. And so that's kind of my mission right now, is to help people find a way to do something they love and quit worrying about being a millionaire or the next billionaire. Like if that happens, that's phenomenal, and I think it'll happen. Like I have no doubt that will happen for you, but I don't ever hear you talk about, oh, I'm doing this to make money. You're doing it because you love to travel. You're doing it because you love good food, and you found a way to live a lifestyle. So I just think it's incredible.
Absolutely. And I'm getting booted out of this little coffee house because it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon here. But I would say, too, that you're absolutely right, that people need to focus on how much money they actually need, because that was something that I had to come to terms with realizing that I didn't need $1 million to have my dream lifestyle. So that's definitely influenced things.
This is great. This is a day in the life of a lifestyle entrepreneur. You're working in the coffee shop, and you're like, well, closing. I got to get out of here.
Well, it makes it easy. I can't work all hours a day.
I'm losing you, Heather. So we may have lost Heather. Okay, you're back now.
Sorry.
We lost you for a moment.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's all right.
I'm outside, and it's hotter than a well digger here. So, like I said, I need to go, find a place to camp and hang out for the rest of the afternoon.
Well, cool. Well, hey, I will let you go in just a moment. But before you do, I want to ask you about something I've been seeing a little bit on Facebook and been getting your emails. So, number one, amazing job on all the content you've been creating recently. I think you've done a tremendous job. But tell me really quickly about Heather's Choice. I think this is your newest business, and then I'll let you go find a place to camp out where it's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So Heather's Choice is my line of allergen-free backpacking food. I've been working on this idea for about 4 years now, just from developing my own meals for adventuring. So whenever I do big rafting trips or backpacking or anything like that, I usually pack my own food. And I use grass-fed meats and wild-caught fish and organic fruits and vegetables. And so my next big gig is going to be developing this line of dehydrated food for anybody that wants to eat super good in the backcountry. So it's really exciting. I'm having so much fun with it. I'm actually headed home to Alaska to develop a really good blueberry Burks syrup macaroon recipe with my mom. And I'm hoping to do a Kickstarter campaign here soon and raise some funds to build an allergen-free kitchen and then put out this line of dehydrated food. And there's nothing else like it on the market currently. And to be honest, Drew, the reason why I'm doing it is because it's so much freaking fun. I love playing with my dehydrator. I love developing recipes and love going on adventures to field test this stuff. So kind of a win-win.
Now, earlier you said, when we talked about raising money, I said, oh, you should do a Kickstarter, and what'd you say to me?
I was very honest with you that I'm nervous to do one because I'm afraid I'm going to raise like $100,000 and then have to crank out, 1,000 sample meals to people. So it's, like I say, it's almost that fear of success. I'm afraid it's going to be too big.
Here's what I would like to say. I think you should do it. I'm going to prod you to do that. I think you deserve that success. I think more than anything, you're responsible. You have a responsibility to get that done and make that one of the next great businesses to happen. So for anyone watching this, whether they're watching it in May or June or July of 2014, or if they're watching it next year, is I want them to leave a comment below motivating you to do that. I want them to hashtag Heather's Choice, tell you to get this done. When you get your Kickstarter campaign, I want you to tell me about it so I can help you get that shared out there so you can get this done. And then whatever I can do to support you, I would love to do that. So
thanks.
Thank you.
It's going to be awesome. And yeah, I'll keep everybody posted, and they can follow Heather's Choice on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and see where I am and what I'm eating. So it's, like I said, right now it's just a really fun project, but Kickstarter will launch soon.
Okay, great. Well, hey, I'll let you get to camping. Thanks for taking time out to do this. I appreciate it. And once I get this transcribed, I'll send you a copy of that.
You're awesome, Drew. Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Thanks. Have a great day. Bye.